Okay, it's late as hell, and I'm on day 4 of this challenge, and XRP is still stuck if we look at the price chart. I'm starting to wonder, what the hell are we waiting for? But then I look at the news and I calm down a little bit. One firm gets an ETF approval today. Rumors of hundreds of millions of dollars about to flow into XRP. People whispering about Jerome Powell, who is the chair of the or the Fed Reserve and controls interest rates. There's rumors of him being replaced and interest rates dropping soon, and still nothing in the price chart. Maybe you're just burnt out like me. I'm really tired. It's been a long day and it's been a lot of years. Or maybe you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Either way, tonight I want to pause the hopium and just zoom in on the facts. What XRP actually is. The quick reset. Before we dive into what's happening now, let's ground ourselves in what XRP is. No hype, no speculation, just what it actually is. First, XRP is a digital asset. XRP Ledger is the decentralized network that XRP runs on top of. XRP moves value globally in seconds without a middleman, no banking hours, no inflated fees. It's also an open source, permissionless, and built for speed. Just some quick technical facts about XRP. Finality of transactions in 3 to 5 seconds, over 1,500 transactions per second, very small energy usage, native decentralized exchange, and a multi-currency support, meaning you can upload almost any currency onto the XRP ledger and move it about cross-border instantaneously. So, XRP is the fuel, the XRP ledger is the highway, and Ripple is the infrastructure, the company building ramps for banks and governments to merge on and off of. So, the headlines that should be moving the market but aren't, and there's a lot. Let's walk through what's happening because, like I said, it's a bit overwhelming. First, Ripple applies for a national banking license. This would bring Ripple under federal regulation. Ripple could hold customer funds, issue RLUSD, which is Ripple's stablecoin, under direct oversight from the US Federal Regulation Organization. It could also access the Federal Reserve directly, meaning most companies need a big bank like JP Morgan or or I'm sorry, I'm gonna mess it up, but like a JP Morgan or something like this in order to access the Federal Reserve. But if they're approved for this, Ripple XRP could actually access the Federal Reserve directly. And this would allow 24/7 settlement, even on weekends. All banks, they can't settle anything on weekends. So this would open a doorway that hasn't been opened before by any other banking system. This would be a true bridge between crypto and TradeFi. Ripple is building real world rails, no hype, all infrastructure. Also, another headline I saw today, Grayscale, which is an investment firm that focuses on digital money. Grayscale got approved for a GDLC, which is a Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund. And inside of these large cap funds, there is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ethereum, Solana, and now there's XRP included as well. This means that investors who are traditional in the system can get exposure to XRP and other digital tokens through traditional finance channels. So the SEC approved this fund, but then paused it. There's no word on why they paused it yet, but they put a pause on it. But the approval did happen, and XRP is now treated as a top tier project. Again, another huge fact. Also, President Donald Trump in the United States has begun putting pressure on Jerome Powell, who is the chair of the Federal Reserve and determines interest rates and the cuts or the hikes that happen to them. The reason why this is important is because with lower interest rates, this gives a kind of a signal to investors that they can invest in more riskier investment vehicles. And so the lower the interest rates go, the more propelling motion that industries like crypto get because they are a risk on asset. So not only is Trump pushing for the replacement of Powell, there's also other people within the government system that are also pushing for the replacement and for there to be like cases to be looked into the mishandling of renovation money by Jerome Powell, the drama starting. But either way, this is all good news as we're leading closer and closer to the idea of having a lower interest rate, and then more risky assets could benefit from this. Next, we have WeBus, pardon me, which WeBus is an AI company that focuses on transportation. Sorry if I said that wrong, but they work on like ride hailing services. They work on payment solutions and all these kind of things. They have entered a $100 million equity agreement with Ripple. So this isn't just speculation anymore. This is a line of credit backed by Ripple for $100 million. This shows real world use case of Ripple and XRP as a treasury tool and not just a token. Again, this adds to the many use cases of XRP and especially aligns them with the opportunity of being a bank. So it's almost like there's someone in line to be their first customer as a bank as they're getting approval to become a bank. And so it really feels like everything is aligning for everything to work out really well. And I was thinking, it's kind of like watching someone build a launch pad, but instead of launching a rocket, they just keep polishing the bolts. It's kind of like, when are we going, okay? Next is XRP being suppressed on purpose. This is a really interesting fact. I would definitely say with the last administration in the United States, it definitely felt like XRP was getting held down, being really like closely examined without any direction of how they could be unleashed from this like being under a magnifying glass. And now the SEC lawsuit seems to be slowly coming to an end, or at least slowly coming to resolution after being frozen for many years. Ripple, just this week, I believe, or the end of last week, Ripple withdrew its cross appeal with the SEC, and the SEC has signaled that it might do the same. Ripple is hiring ex-government insiders like Lauren Hive, who is the former White House policy director, and now she is the head of U.S. public policy for Ripple. I mean, the connection she must have and the knowledge of law and regulation that now is on the side of Ripple. The next hire that Ripple has taken on is Brian Ballard, who is a top Trump-aligned lobbyist, and now he works for Ripple as the head strategic lobbyist for Ripple to get into Washington. And Mr. Ballard is said to have great connections with the Trump administration. So Ripple isn't building for speculation, it's building for scale, for regulation, for, I don't know if I said this right, but Ripple isn't building for speculators. It's building for scale, for regulation, for compliance, and for utility. That's boring. And that's the point, I think. The builders are still building. Ripple is working with central banks in Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Palau. SBI Holdings in Japan is doubling down and not leaving Ripple's side. The XRP ledger is being used for land titles in Colombia, stablecoin pilots, and cross border payments. Ripple's team is now more than 400 strong, growing even during a bear market. The people closest to the action aren't screaming on Twitter. They're building code and they're lobbying governments. So, what happens when all of this switches on? I want to be really clear. What happens if the pressure releases all at once? I die of just pure joy. But I mean, not about money, but just about finding a project, believing in it for years and following it and taking on the information and really truly believing something. I think the realization of that would be amazing. So, what would happen when regulation clears? Banks are on board, stablecoins are live, and the Fed access is granted. This is not just a price rise, this would be repricing almost overnight. And this isn't financial advice at all, but this isn't hopium either. It feels like everything is aligning for this to take off. So, if you're tired of waiting, you're not alone. But XRP doesn't need your hype, it needs time and access. And that might be coming sooner than we think. This isn't the end of a crypto cycle. This could be the start of a monetary reset. I'll be back tomorrow because I still don't think we've seen what XRP actually was built to do and who built it. And so I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me for day 4. Please like, subscribe, send me a comment, join me on this journey. We're doing 30 days of discovery into XRP. And after that, we'll see where we go after. But my goal is to be not only informed of this information, but to be able to digest it so that I give it to you in the most simplest way possible. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.